Kid had to take a day off yesterday, you know, trying to go through this grind of posting every single day. It eventually starts to wear down on you and you just get tired. That was me pretty much yesterday. So I was like, you know what? I need to take a day off, relax, and recalibrate, and then get back to the grind. And that's exactly what's happening today. We are back on that grind. So all that being said, I suppose, hi. For our first story of the day though, the Draymond Green versus Kevin Durant may be, quote, over, as the two of them have seemingly made amends over the feud that they were having a few days ago. But just because they might not be fighting or bickering with each other at this exact moment in time doesn't necessarily mean that everything is all peaches and roses and skipping through the cornfields on a Saturday evening with the Golden State Warriors. Doesn't mean the outcome of their fight was good, all right? As I'm pretty sure that the fight between Draymond Green and Kevin Durant completely ruined their relationship and any chance that there was of the Warriors keeping Kevin Durant. And I know I said this before, but we did get updates on the story, as yesterday Draymond Green was finally asked for his viewpoint on the situation, and I was kind of surprised by the answers that Draymond Green was giving. See, I kind of expected him to give a sort of PR-esque type of response with a Draymond Green twist to it. I thought he'd be trying to downplay the entire thing, make it seem as if we were all reaching for stories about how Kevin Durant could possibly leave and about how bad the fight was in general. That's what I thought was going to come out of the mouth of Draymond Green whenever the media did catch up with him. But that's not what happened at all, as to my surprise, Draymond Green was quite open and quite honest about this entire situation, which I have to give applause to, because I love players being honest with the media. It makes it much more interesting than opposed to when we always get these same cookie cutter responses. That being said though, if you are a Warriors fan and you're a Warriors fan that likes having Kevin Durant on your team, Draymond Green's response certainly didn't give you much hope that you are going to be able to keep Kevin Durant after this season. Take a look at this Draymond Green clip in case you haven't seen it already.
There's no secret that I am an emotional player. You know, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I play with that same emotion. You know, sometimes they get the best of me, and, you know, it doesn't work to my favor. I'm going to live with that, you know, because it works in my favor to the good, as my resume speaks and this team resume speaks, more so than it doesn't. And so I'm never going to change who I am. I'm going to approach the game the same way that I always do. And, you know, like I said, we'll continue to move forward. You know, and I've read a lot about how, is this the end of the run, or is it over, or did I ruin it, or did I force Kevin to leave? You know, at the end of the day, as I've said before, whatever Kevin decided to do, whatever Clay decided to do, whatever who decides to do, you know, we had great years together, and I support everybody wholeheartedly, 100%, because as a man, as a human being, you got the right to do what you want to do with your life. And so I'll never question that.
So that happened, but not to mention that we're still getting reports out regarding the actual fight itself. For example, this one. Reports came out this morning claiming that Draymond Green told Kevin Durant something along the lines of, quote, "We don't need you, we won without you, leave." Like I said, the feud may be over, but that doesn't mean that the Warriors are skipping through the cornfield on a Saturday afternoon with the sun shining and a thunderstorm on the way. The argument may be over, but the damage has already been done. And at this point, Kevin Durant and Draymond Green are like that couple that's staying together for the kid. They hate each other's guts at this point. They want to be as far away from each other as possible, but they don't want the kids to be sad. They want the kids to have a normal life growing up. So they decide, you know what? We're gonna stick this out until the kids get through high school. And once they go off to college, you know, once the kids graduate high school, go off to college, that's when we go our own separate ways, because I cannot stand looking at your face anymore. That's exactly the situation that Draymond Green and Kevin Durant are in, except obviously it's not for the kids to win a championship. They're staying together to try and win a championship this year. So the Warriors run is pretty much at an end. And what I'm curious to see is when Kevin Durant does leave the Warriors next year, how good are the Warriors still going to be? Are they going to go back to that same 73-win team that they were before Kevin Durant? If they keep Klay Thompson, I'd have a hard time imagining that they still won't be one of the best teams in the NBA just because they have Steph Curry, they have Klay Thompson, they're still going to have Draymond Green. I don't think Kevin Durant leaving will mean the end of the Golden State Warriors. The league will just be a little more balanced. They won't be juggernauts, they'll just be another one of the really good teams in the league. Oh, it's official. Carmelo Anthony has been kicked off his third team in the NBA in the matter of, it's November? What? 2, 3, 4 months max? I hope this guy really didn't buy any real estate or a house in Houston, because that would be just tragic. Just tragic. He was there for 10 games. 10. That's all it took the Houston Rockets to know that, yo, this thing ain't working out. And what's crazy is the explanation that the Houston Rockets gave for waiving Carmelo Anthony, as this is what Mike D'Antoni had to say. We tried to hit a home run and it didn't work out. The way we play probably wasn't conducive to his game. He was trying to make the necessary sacrifices. It wasn't fair to him as a Hall of Fame player to play in a way that wasn't good for him. Wasn't good for us. Now, a lot of people, a lot of the Carmelo Anthony fans out there are saying that this was just Mike D'Antoni's way of getting back at Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony was the reason that Mike D'Antoni got fired back in his New York days, so this was Mike D'Antoni getting back at Carmelo Anthony, bringing him onto the team, putting him in a situation that, quote, he knew wasn't going to work out, and then 10 games later, showing him the door. That's what some Carmelo Anthony fans think, but does that even begin to make sense? What do you think Mike D'Antoni was just plotting on Carmelo Anthony this entire time? First of all, Mike D'Antoni isn't the one in the Rockets organization that had the power to bring Carmelo Anthony onto the roster. He's not the general manager. He's not the president of basketball operations. Mike D'Antoni is just the coach. He doesn't have the power to kick Carmelo Anthony off the team. That was the general manager and the president of basketball operations who came up with this entire idea. Mike D'Antoni just happened to be there. So this wasn't his personal vendetta against Carmelo Anthony. For Christ's sake, see, the man is an NBA coach. You think he's holding on to a petty thing about being let go from the New York Knicks back in the day when he's coaching the Houston Rockets now? I swear the excuses that some people try and make up for Melo, it just gets worse and worse and worse with every situation that he's in. Carmelo Anthony gets kicked off the OKC Thunder, and it becomes, well, now look what he's about to do, that he's playing with a real point guard in Chris Paul and not Westbrook. Look what he's about to do with a coach that knows how to use him in Mike D'Antoni and not Billy Donovan. Carmelo fans were happy that he had Mike D'Antoni when he first signed with the Rockets, because he was so great with Carmelo Anthony back in his days with the New York Knicks. The Knicks were having success, and so was Carmelo Anthony. And now that it doesn't work out in Houston, it's not Melo's fault again. Once again, it's the organization's fault. It's Chris Paul's fault. It's James Harden's fault. It's Mike D'Antoni's fault. It's everyone's fault except for Carmelo Anthony. It's really ridiculous. The excuses, the lengths that people will go to defend Carmelo Anthony. And I get it, this is your favorite player, you feel some type of emotional attachment to him, but let me break it down for you as to why Carmelo Anthony just isn't the same Carmelo Anthony that you fell in love with. And the reason that he's trash right now is because he is the same Carmelo Anthony that you fell in love with. Carmelo Anthony, throughout his career, he's been great at one thing: scoring the ball. And he's been really good at that one thing and doing it in two different ways, either isoing in the mid-range or isoing in the low post. That's how Carmelo Anthony made his reputation. That was his claim to fame: isoing in mid-range or isoing in the low post. That was his entire game. Man didn't do anything else out there in the basketball court. Now, he was one of the greatest to ever do it. He was one of the greatest to ever score the ball in the ways in which he scored the ball. There weren't many people who were as deadly in the low post or isoing in the mid-range as Carmelo Anthony in NBA history. Let's get that clear. I'm not trying to take that away from the man. The thing is, over the years, he never developed the other aspects of his game. He never became a better defender, a better rebounder, a better passer, a better playmaker. He never became a better anything. You see what I mean? That's what led to Carmelo Anthony's downfall. The fact that he never adapted to the way that the NBA was moving. And now it's to the point where Carmelo Anthony has the skill set of a #1 offensive option on an NBA team, which you would think, okay, then make him a #1 option on an NBA team. But there's a couple of problems with that. The first problem is a player like Carmelo Anthony no longer fits the description of a #1 offensive option on any NBA team anymore. What #1 option on has a skill set of Carmelo Anthony? I'm curious, what player out there in the NBA is the #1 option on a team and solely makes their living in the low post and isoing in the mid-range and has no other skills that they can bring to the basketball court? I'm really curious to find out. DeMar DeRozan, sure, he's a great mid-range player, but he does a heck of a lot more than just operate in the mid-range. He's a better ball handler, a better playmaker, a better passer. Blake Griffin, same thing as DeMar DeRozan. He's a great mid-range, low-post player. He has a much higher basketball IQ, a better playmaker, a better passer. You go down every other team in the league. Look at all #1, even #2 options out there in the NBA. You're not going to find a player who's just like Carmelo Anthony, who has such a singular skill set. Granted, once upon a time, it was an elite skill set and he was really, really good at what he did, but it was the only thing that he can do. It was the only thing that he could bring to the table, and what he brings to the table just isn't as valuable in today's NBA as it was back when Carmelo Anthony was in his prime. That's one thing that's wrong with Carmelo Anthony. Another thing that's wrong with Carmelo Anthony is the fact that the things he used to do at an elite level, his scoring at the low post in the mid-range and the ISO, he can't do at an elite level anymore. He's on the decline. So not only does he not fit in today's NBA based on his skill set, but the skill set that he has, he can't even do it at an elite level anymore. And that's why teams are having such a hard time trying to fit him in. They tried to use him as a spot up shooter. It doesn't work because that's not part of his skill set. They tried to use him off the bench as a spot up shooter, maybe even ISO him sometimes. Guess what? That doesn't fit in today's NBA, and his skill set's not as elite as it used to be, so he became even more inefficient. Melo was just never a versatile player, and that's why he's starting to phase out. Dwayne Wade has been able to stay in the league for so long despite the various injuries that he's been through because of how versatile of a player he was. Do you know what would have happened to Dwayne Wade if he was only good at attacking the rim? Man would have been out of the league 2, 3, maybe even 4 years ago. Because he has the ability to do so much else on the basketball court, that's why he sticks around. Melo never had that versatility. So what does this mean for Carmelo Anthony going forward? Well, I'm not 100% sure. I don't have much doubt that a team out there will be willing to roll the dice on Carmelo Anthony and try and see if they can incorporate what skill he has left into their offense and actually win games because of it. I have no doubt that the team's going to try and make that happen, but I do severely doubt the fact that it'll work out very well for the team that does try Carmelo Anthony. But I also have no doubt that when it doesn't work out for Carmelo Anthony on the next team he signs with, that people will be blaming everyone else but Carmelo Anthony for the fact that it didn't work out. That's pretty much what's about to happen. That's it for all of the news from yesterday though, so now let's just take a look at the games from last night. So yeah, Draymond Green returned for the Golden State Warriors after serving his 1-game suspension, and it didn't go well for him and the Warriors as Draymond Green was scoreless in his return, as well as he did commit 5 turnovers too. And Golden State gets blown out by Houston 107-86. The Rockets now advancing to 7-7 on the year after their extremely slow start. The Denver Nuggets took on the Atlanta Hawks last night. It was as if the Nuggets were just taking out all the frustrations out from losing so much in their past few games over the Hawks, as they just kept pouring it on Atlanta until the final score read 138-93. Paul Millsap finally playing like he's getting paid $30 million a year with 18 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, and a couple of blocks in just 25 minutes. And lastly, Lou Williams came alive late and handed the Spurs yet another loss. Their 3rd in a row and 5th in their last 6 games, 116-111 the final score. Williams finishing with 23 off the bench. And that is going to bring us to the player of the day, where you guys had the opportunity to vote for who you think was the best player in the NBA last night by clicking the little eye icon in the top right hand corner of the video. Just remember though, the only players whose team won are eligible to win Player of the Day. That's gonna do it for today though, guys. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and subscribe to the channel with post notifications turned on so you can stay up to date with everything that goes on in the NBA on a daily basis. Thank you once again for watching though. You guys already know that you are the real MVPs, and until tomorrow, I'm out of here. Peace!